I'm not the person who wants to buy a book when everyone is talking about it. I'm the person who likes to read a book or watch a movie or watch a series after people stop talking about them. This time something happened with Alchemized. I cannot tell you what. Maybe it was the fact that I knew it's after Manacled. I knew what Manacled is about. I haven't read Manacled yet, and I'm very glad I didn't, because I got the chance to experience this journey, a very short journey. It took me only 2 weeks to finish this book, unfortunately. I would have preferred if I would have given it more time, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, because I can compare it to Harry Potter journey that I had. Of course, this is only one volume, one book, a very big book. It has 1,000 pages, and unfortunately it only took me 2 weeks to finish it. It was a book that ruined my perspective over what a book should be like. There were so many things in this book that I had to find out, learn, and translate. First of all, I read the book in English, and I'm glad I did, because a few months after the English version appeared, the translation in my language, Romanian, also appeared. And I peeked inside it, and the terms didn't make sense. So I'm so glad I read it in English. I also did the terminology notes in my iPhone, because it was so difficult to keep up with all the terms which did not make sense at the beginning. I think I read the first 2 pages 3 or 4 times to understand where does the action take place, who is Helena, which by the way is a very beautiful name. The names in this book are very, very beautiful. We have Helena Marino, which is the heroine of this book. We read the book in some way from her perspective, even though it's written in third-person perspective. So, we can get a peek, we can dive into everyone's little world. And I usually prefer the books which are written from first perspective. However, in this case, third perspective worked perfectly. We have Kane Farron, which is also a name that you don't see everywhere. We have Lucian Holdfast. We have Lila Bayard, Lila and Soren Bayard. We have Mandel. We have Apollo, and we have Morrow. And I'll try to explain you who these characters from Alchemized are in comparison to the Harry Potter world, because I like to say about this book that it's some kind of upside down Harry Potter. And why do I say that? Manacled was a fan fiction book written about Hermione and Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter world. A dark fan fiction, which didn't, from the reviews I read, which wasn't like any other fan fiction that was written before. And I'm very glad that Sen Lin Yu succeeded writing Alchemized and succeeded keeping what she did with Manacled in this book, so that all of us can have the chance and write this masterpiece. We have Helena Marino, which is in Harry Potter Hermione Granger. We have Kane Farron, which in Harry Potter is Draco Malfoy. We have Lucian Holdfast, which is the one and only Harry Potter. We have Lila Bayard, which is Ginny Weasley, and Soren Bayard, which is Ronald Weasley. We have Shisheo, which is Professor Snape. We have Mandel, which is Professor Umbridge. Mandel is such a complicated, annoying, but at the same time interesting character in Alchemized. Just like I couldn't hate Umbridge, I couldn't really hate Mandel either, because she was so complicated. And maybe I have a soft place for complicated, weird characters from books and movies. And we have Apollo Holdfast, which we find out in Alchemized from the beginning that, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Apollo Holdfast is Albus Dumbledore. And we have Morrow, which is Voldemort. These are just some of the characters which I can compare to Harry Potter, and I should start with Palladia. Palladia is the country, the region where all of the action takes place. We don't find many details that could hint us that this is the Harry Potter world, because this is after a civil war that took place in Palladia, where of course the good guys fought the bad guys, and now the good guys lost. So the bad guys, Moro, Voldemort, are in power. Basically try to think about Harry Potter, let's say the last scene, where everyone at Hogwarts is fighting Voldemort, and that fight is being lost by the good guys, by Harry, by Hermione, by Ron, by all of the good guys, and then Voldemort comes to power. Try and imagine that, and then double it or make it 10 times worse, because that's what the word is in Alchemized. It has so many terms that we know they make sense once you understand them, or if you have experience with fantasy word, some of the terms you might find in fantasy games or in other science fiction fantasy books. I personally don't have that much experience with fantasy, at least not at this level, so it was, a bit difficult for me at the beginning to understand all of the terms. That's why I created in my notes a terminology. We have the Eternal Flame. The Eternal Flame was, before Moro won the war, it was a group or an order which tried to save everyone from Moro / Voldemort. Then we have the Resistance, which is basically the opposite side. Let's go to the interesting, or to the big terms. Animancy. Animancy is the magic that can control the living. I would compare it with the Imperia curse from Harry Potter. This is not always used as a bad curse, as a bad magic, but is mainly used for that in Alchemized. We then have the Necrothralls. The Necrothralls are people who don't live anymore, and they're being revived. Some kind of, let's say, zombies. Not really zombies, because they can think, they can be controlled, you can see through their eyes, they can do things that, for example, servants would do. They're usually used as servants in a house for the rich, or they are being controlled as an army. We then have the Pyromancy, which is the magic that can control the fire. This is the magic that not many withheld, and this is the magic that Lucian hold fast, which is basically the Principate, because here we don't have kings or presidents, we have the Principate, which here is Lucian Holdfast / Harry Potter from the Harry Potter world. We then have the Transmutation, which through alchemy can manipulate living beings, can manipulate objects, can manipulate everything. I don't remember if we had this magic in Harry Potter, but it was very interesting to dive into more types of magic in Alchemized. There are so many other terms which I would like to explain right now, it's just that I don't really remember them anymore. It's been a few months since I read them and I understood them at the time. Having the fact that now it's been a few months, I would have to look them up, each one of them, and explain them to you, but I have them in my notes and I can, make a different video where I explain my interpretation or explanation of these terms. And I don't want to ruin the experience for you of, finding out what they actually mean, because while reading this book, I always had my phone with me, trying to translate the terms, trying to find how they would look like if my imagination wouldn't be able to imagine them. And I like that. It was like a process of at the beginning trying to find out what is going on, what is this word, I don't understand it, this is so new to me, but I was so excited at the same time, because it was like when you start a new job, for example, you're excited, but you don't know what you have to do, so you need to learn and it takes time. This is what my experience here was as well. I will try to find the videos with my reaction before starting reading this book and after finishing reading this book. If I find them, I will put them here. So this is me just starting to read Alchemised. I'm super excited, even though it's very big. Yeah, so stay tuned. I just finished it, and I think it took me like 2 weeks and a half. I don't really have words right now about it. I remember that when I finished it, I wasn't able to say anything for like 5 minutes, and I was with one of my friends, and he was like, how was the book? Because you've been so, eager to finish it, eager to get it, eager to have it. And I said, I need some time to process it, because the ending was so full, fulfilling, and the whole book was fulfilling. It was like going through a journey. It was like, that feeling when you finish a classic that maybe you thought you wouldn't be able to read, and that satisfaction which you have after you finish a long, big, difficult book, that satisfaction I had with this, because it was a difficult book. I don't think that if you're not trained into reading, you would be able to fully comprehend what's being written in this book, because it has a lot of horror elements. It's gore, it's very detailed, and they're not beautiful details. There are, of course, beautiful details as well, but we have here a lot of scenes which could make you uncomfortable. And that's why I think that the experience from starting reading this book, throughout reading it, and after finishing it is very much worth it. That's why this is my favorite book from 2025. It's one of my favorites overall. It's definitely in my top 10 all-time favorite books, and I don't think that will change. Will I be reading it again? Probably not, but I'm very excited because I know that there will be a movie. This book is very long, so I think that the best opportunity for it to be explained on the small screen on TV would be a TV series. Unfortunately, that will not happen, but we will have a movie. I just hope that it will be a 3-hour movie, because there's so many details which, if you don't put into the movie, people will not understand it, because not all the viewers will have read the book. And this happens every time. The fans of the book come to the movie and they're disappointed, and people who didn't read the book are either very happy or disappointed because they didn't understand some of the terms, or it's maybe being a bit rushed. And I wouldn't want to see that with this movie, because from what I read, the budget is very big, it's huge, and I just hope that whoever will be doing it will be doing a good job in casting, in writing the screenplay. And I have high expectations. I think we all do, because this is a book that doesn't happen very often. When I say that, this was the first book that Senli Yu wrote. Of course, there's Manacled, so that's the first book, but this is the first official book that she got to publish. And look at how quickly people loved it, and it had success over the night. Now, if I go on the street and ask someone my age, or maybe not very old, do you know Alchemised? They will probably say yes. Will they have read it? Probably not, because it's such a long book. But when you start going to this book, the pages don't matter. You just go into the story, you dream with your eyes open, you get swiped into the story. So it doesn't matter that it's so long. It's so long for a reason. There are too many details which couldn't have been put on paper if the book wouldn't have been that long. Now, the book has 3 parts. First part, second part, and third part. I think I can say that Helena, the main character, doesn't remember much from before the war. And the book starts after the war. It tells us the story of how Helena is trying to remember it all. She's a prisoner in Kane's mansion, and through some kind of magic, he's trying to make her remember because she has some key information of possible survivors from the Eternal Flame. The second part is from before the war, and it gives us a perspective on how the story started, and we get to experience and get to see explained so many of the key details that we didn't understand, or that maybe we thought we understood in the first part. And of course, the third part, the last part, is about how the story ends. And there are two ways of reading this book. I read it from head to toe. You could read it from head to toe, so first, second, third part, or you could read it from second part, first part, and then third part. Both ways are okay. You will be able to understand it a bit better if you start with the second part, but I recommend you do not, because you will not be as surprised as you will be after finishing the first part and diving into the second part. So many things get explained so beautifully. You will be smiling, you will be angry, you will be annoyed, you will be, mesmerized, everything, and you will be very happy with the ending. Very, very happy. So this is a 5-star out of 5 for me. Favorite book of 2025. And I'm really curious if you read it. It would help me if you would subscribe to my channel, hit a like, and comment, so you can help me get more views and more of you who also read.